Hi from New York, everyone, on this Thursday morning. It's been eventful, I'll say that. It's Jim White and Simon Jordan. We're live in TalkSport in partnership with Toolstation. First stop, Toolstation. First stop for Brad Friedel, as it was for all of us this morning, was the 50th floor of the World Trade Center. But Brad, like myself, ran into the Knicks winning parade and a bit of trouble on the way. Now, Troy made it, Simon made it. 82 times capped for the USA, Brad Friedel has just made it. If you're watching live on YouTube, we were just showing you pictures there of the parade going on outside. I mean, did you not try, don't you know who I am? I'm Brad Friedel. Get me into that building, please.
In New York. It's like my living nightmare. First the Knicks winning it, then being sat in the middle of 5 million people, telling them I got to go to work, and then telling I don't give a you-know-what. But at least the cops are really nice in this city. Yeah, they're helpful. Like all around, you go to every barrier. Hey, can you help me get to the World Trade Center? No, turn around and go do it. Oh, okay, nice. And then you go back through 5 more million people.
You didn't try and vault one of these.
No, I didn't do what
like
I know better than to want someone to shoot me.
Yeah, well, thankfully it didn't come to that. Brad, good morning. Brad, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you here. As other members of the crew are walking into the studio all the time, we are off and running. England are off and running. England beat Croatia by 4 goals to 2. Last night, and we all got into a very nice little spot, had a bit of food, had a few drinks, and watched it just round the corner from us. East side was that, Simon?
Lower East Side, yeah.
Lower East Side we were on. So, Troy, England's World Cup campaign off and running, 4-2 win. What have they done in the process? Have they laid down a convincing contenders marker?
Sure, they got a good result. They got a good result.
I was confident.
No, they got a good result. I wasn't as up on it as everybody else was. I thought that was the result I was expecting. Croatia are no mugs. Let's have it right. They're a good team, but I thought we should have more, especially in the midfield. When you look at Luka Modric, 40 years of age, playing in Italy now and looking at potentially retiring this year, I thought when you talk to our 2 holding midfielders of Declan Rice and Elliot Anderson, potentially £240 million worth of player. If you're not having a good day, Brad, as you know, run over somebody, just make it difficult. And all we did in the second half, play forward, run forward and tackle. Very simple things, but because we're so athletic and we're so good, it was great. But the defensive back line worries me a little bit, but we score goals now and it was entertaining. It was frustrating, but it was entertaining. I just wonder, as it goes on, can we do that can we have a first 45 minutes against the top teams like we did in that half?
I'm going to get Simon's take in a second. What was your takeaway from it, Brad? You and I shared a cab back into the centre last night, and we were talking more about Scotland, who you saw the other day. But on England, do you share Troy's views?
Short conversation on Scotland. Yeah, let's go.
Don't you start.
It was a short cab ride.
Yeah.
So I like 2 things about the England match. One is the first games are always difficult to get going in big events. Well, not always, but they can be. And so what I liked is something happened at halftime. Whether it was Tuchel or whether it was the players, whether it was both of them, they came out and they were a completely different team, and I thought they suffocated Croatia in the second half. The second thing that I really liked, I love the substitutions. Instead of being up 3-2, putting on substitution to see the game out, 3 energetic, athletic, attacking, very good footballers to go and then try to get the 4th, possibly a 5th.
Yeah,
I know
run away with it.
Yeah.
I like those 2 things. I don't know if it was a marker. I mean, I think we all knew England was one of the best teams coming into the event. I'm going to see the game in Boston at Foxborough Stadium against Ghana.
Yeah.
So that'll be another opportunity for them to lay down what could be another marker. But those 2 things impressed me the most of the game.
Simon, I'm coming your way. We mentioned it was a game of 2 halves, really. Have a listen to what Tuchel said, reportedly at half-time.
I want him to be brave, courageous, intense, and on the front foot, and do it together, and just go for it, and try to take it, and be active. I encouraged them with words, which was short, was calm, and If they say it helped, even better. But I think that was the main. That was the main message, to just encourage them and tell them that we trust them and there is nothing to fear. It's we want to go for the win and be active.
So at half-time, Tuchel, they're saying that he more or less said, second half, go out there, be brave. Simon, from Southgate to Tuchel, was this the front-footed difference that you have been wishing?
Oh, definitely. I mean, for a number of reasons, for the reasons that Brad's laid out in terms of the substitutions, from the manner in which this is rock and roll football. This is what we saw with Jurgen Klopp in the second half. Interesting that Tuchel needs to have a reinforcement at half-time, because you would have assumed that composition had happened before the game and that they were told to get on the front foot before the game. And England looked quite nervous when they started, and they weren't, for the first 5 or 10 minutes, I thought they weren't really at it. You know, I think the performance in the second half, I was sitting next to Brad, and he was saying to me, and I think I'm right in quoting him, is that this is the best attacking performance that we've seen in the World Cup so far, in terms of the way that they put it upon the Croatians. Whatever we may have created in the media about how old this Croatian team is, Troy was saying me off air that the average age of the Croatians is 28 and a half, whereas our team is 27. We've been walking around under the impression this is a dad's army, just because you've got Luka Modric. So they're not mugs. You know, I think we could have done better with the goals, but notwithstanding that, you know, whatever lessons we think we need to learn defensively, Tuchel will learn them and they'll make some adjustments. But offensively, if you look at that performance, that is as good as you want an England side to play. It's as good as an England side has played on the front foot for a very, very long time. And you look at it, and 4-2 flatters the Croatians to some extent, because England could have had 6 in the second half. So I think it's a great marker. It's a great start to the tournament. It's what the public will want to see. Tuchel is hiding his light behind a bushel, because I would imagine he was very strong in the dressing room at half-time to wake a few people up, because you saw it, they came out of the traps like men possessed. Yeah. You know, the perfect cure to a goal just before half-time is a goal directly after half-time. And that's exactly what England got.
I also thought as well, sorry, I know you've got to go to break.
No problem.
But you know, now you see so many managers say buzzwords. Yeah. And he's talking about being aggressive, being on the front foot. He actually means it, doesn't he? You get that sense of, oh, when he say we're on the front foot and be brave, if we make this mistake, it's on me. It's not on you, lads. So I think when a manager's that aggressive in what he says and believes it, it's easier for the players there, because you know, ultimately, if we fail, we've all failed, and he's not going to throw me under the bus. OK, well, it's 1:30. We're going to take a quick break. But in the process, which takes you further in tournament football? The pragmatists or the entertainers? Anyway, it worked for England, and they're off and running 4-2. So are we at 1:30 back in the UK, 8:30 here in New York City. The streets out there absolutely rammed. We are live on Talk Sport from New York City. Stay with us. On parade day for the Knicks, England regrouped at half-time. Listen to Tuchel, went out and they virtually blew Croatia away in the second half. But which takes you further in tournament football, the pragmatists or the entertainers? Now, back there in the UK, Jamie Carragher in his Telegraph column, Thomas Tuchel declared his intention to rip up the script on how to win at international level. If you've got no control, you're finished. If you're not solid at the back, you're going to get found out when the pressure's on. This is his great footballing experiment. Can a Premier League team actually win the World Cup? Can they win the World Cup like this, Troy? Yeah, I think we can win it. I think the stars would have to align. I don't think we're favourites to win it, whether that's just the bookies or when you look at the squads. I think when you look at the French team, for example, that starting 11 is fantastic, and but the depth that they have on the bench. But we are, physically as strong as anybody. We've got a world-class goal scorer, if not the best goal scorer in the competition. And then we've still got massive players like Jude Bellingham with a chip on the shoulder, Morgan Rogers who's trying to make a statement. And we've got guys who have won things, Declan Rice, Saka, they've all won this season. So absolutely we can win. I take a little bit of a dislike to what Jamie said, because we've done it the pragmatic way before. We've done it the solid and we're going to play with our best players. Now we're going the opposite way.
Yeah, but come on. Southgate's pragmatism got you to a few finals.
But we didn't win. So it doesn't matter.
So is Tuchel's way going to get you to a final, Simon?
Well, it's an interesting analysis, because it assumes that there's one way of playing. How did Tuchel win the Champions League final against Man City? He didn't win it by going gung-ho with Chelsea, did he? He played against the opposition. Now, he will look at the games on an individual basis. He will look at Croatia and say, we're a better side than them, so we should be going on the front foot, really putting it on them. If he plays against France, he might have a different view. He'll pick his moments for the team to be bold. He'll make substitutions at times if we're on top, or he'll make changes, or he'll set up the lineup from the outset in a different way. But I think in this situation, what I love about the attitude is that I have always been moderately critical of the idea of waiting for things to happen to you. I like us to be the team that people worry about, rather than, well, let's have a look and see, let's feel out the game. Get on these teams that we're better than, stamp your authority on them. So whilst I like Jamie's article, and I think it's an interesting comparison to suggest that the Premier League setup is the way that we're going to play, I don't think he'll play that way all the time. I think he'll make bold decisions, and the right decisions. And the bold decisions might come in all different guises. So I think it's probably a bit one-dimensional to suggest that when he comes up against real opposition like the French or the Spanish or someone of a significant comparative level to us, they'll be different.
But I mean, Brad, even though you're an American, you've taken England to win the World Cup.
Even though you're American.
I'm American. Is that just because the cop tackled you down there?
I would have thought you'd be leaning more on the USA to go deep, deep, deep. But obviously, having played so much of your career in England, you're more than entitled to say it. Having said that, Tuchel's way, is it the right way? Is this going to work for them?
I mean, okay, so we've seen every team play right now, and I think after the first matches, Spain's going to get better, but probably the two best teams are France and England of what we've seen so far. Well, I saw a French team where they weren't great in the first half. Senegal's good, but their goalkeeper wasn't great. First half, the one off the post, off his leg, the goal that went right through his body, the goal that was called back. They've got some deficiencies in the back as well. So I think you have to look at where your strengths are. England's strengths are going that way, not going that way. I like Pickford. I know I told you that. But their real strengths is the athleticism, chance after chance after chance. Use it.
But if you're Pickford, are you happy with that defence in front of you?
Yeah.
Are you confident?
I'm happy with the team in front of me.
Are you confident in that defence?
Of course. Who wouldn't you be confident with? You don't like Konsa? Just because a mistake or something or a couple of chances came. The chance was not Konsa or Stones, especially the second goal. There was no pressure on the ball in midfield. So it had nothing to do with the back line. If nobody gets pressure on the ball, good players are going to be able to pick passes. That's how it goes. So you put pressure on the ball. So do I think Anderson and Rice are good? Yeah, I do. I think they're really good. Should they have pressured the ball? Yeah, I do. So they should have pressured the ball, of course. So that's not so much a back line. I like the athleticism of anyone who plays right and left back. Yes, I like the team. And you have to sometimes feel your way into a tournament. In the past, they would have felt their way through the tournament for 3 matches. Now, they did it for 45 minutes. Tuchel came in and said, no, It's like the gloves are off. Show the country what you can do. Show me what you can do. And if you do that and we lose, you're not going to get any criticism from me. And that's what I think you were alluding to, Troy, is that you, as a player, you want to have that confidence from your manager.
Got you. England came out and took the game to Croatia in the second half. And Bellingham burst into action and scored. There's been a lot of scrutiny on what Bellingham said post-match. Amongst other things, the spotlight's been on me. Has he got a little bit of a chip in his shoulder? It would seem yes. This was Bellingham.
Me personally, it was nice to kind of put some of the noise aside and just, you know, show my country, show my teammates how committed I am to helping us try and win football matches. You know, I think it was a great team performance. Second half, first half, we still got the intensity right, but with the ball not quite there. And second half, I think we put it all together nicely. And again, to contribute, to help my team, help my country is, you know, one of the biggest honours. And regardless of the noise outside, that honour doesn't change for me at all.
He mentioned noise twice. Troy, you're shaking your head. He says, I had to show my country how committed I am. Does he have to prove, has he got something to prove here?
The reason I'm shaking my head is when people say the noise outside, you mean off the interview that you did that said that people were against us? So you created the noise, and then all the noise outside. To me, that bit's just crazy. I think, I like that he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's been injured for the majority of the year. Real Madrid have had a very poor year. There's been rumblings that basically him and Mbappe don't get on. So if you've got a chip on your shoulder to prove it, good. Marcus Rashford should be exactly the same, by the way. I was saying it to Simon off air. If I'm Marcus Rashford, I was at Barcelona. We've just lost my place to Anthony Gordon. They've sent me back. They brought Anthony Gordon in. I go to England. I've lost my place to Anthony Gordon. There's nothing more that can motivate me to go, right, I'm going to show you and I'm going to show the rest of the world that I'm better than you. Competition is healthy. I don't know why these lads all of a sudden want all of the praise when it's going well, but they want none of the scrutiny when it's going bad.
Yeah.
That's part of being an athlete, a top-level athlete. And Brad, would you agree to that?
100%. The best I ever played in my career was when I had a number 2 and possibly a number 3 that could have taken my place. Absolutely, in national side or in club football. Complacency is the worst ingredient into a professional athlete. Complacency kills you.
I also think the first time in Jude's career where there's a genuine question mark around his England career, should Morgan Rogers be playing? That was, going into this, no one really knew who was going to start, depending on predictive lineups. Some had Rogers started, some had Jude. So I think when you have that, it's like, OK, I believe I'm a superstar. I've shown in the past I can be that. Watch this, I'm going to show you. So I'm glad he's got a chip on his shoulder. And I thought he was pivotal, not only his goal, but the 15 minutes after that, where he's running around, he's making tackles. But he's not doing it to the crowd. He's doing it for the rest of the lads going, hey, let's step on it.
Yeah.
And that's what I need from Jude Bellingham moving forward.
I mean, Simon, he says, for me personally, it was nice to put some of the noise aside. I mean, has this noise around him, has it been fair?
On the whole, I think it was fair, the observations that were made in Germany about the performance of some of the players. And they didn't like it then, and they don't like it now, because we are in this society where the only things you can say are praise. And I think that's a poor society, because I think you build character out of constructive criticism. I have no problems with people being constructively critical of anything we say or anything people do. If it's not constructive and it's just destructive and it's personal, it's ad hominems, it's no use to man nor beast. I don't really care what the motivation is that Jude finds, as long as he finds his motivation and goes out for performances like that. Now, he can say what he wants. At the end of the day, you back things up by your performance. He's gone out there, scored a great goal, and been an asset to the side. It never occurred to me, with due respect to the kid, Morgan Rogers, that Jude Bellingham wouldn't be starting. He's our best player in that position, and whatever the perspective, you play for Madrid, you put yourself in a goldfish bowl. Of course, people are going to ruminate about what's happening in the Real Madrid dressing room. Ryan Marino's brought in, and the rumours are abounding, the fact that him and Mbappe can't be in the same room because their egos are not, right level.
Yeah.
Jude is still a young man. He's still finding his way through, and he's had an immense amount of attention, an immense amount of praise, and every now and again he gets a bit of criticism, and it will be good for him. Now, a fired-up, focused, determined, on his toes, aware of the competition behind him, Jude Bellingham, is what we want and is what we got.
Yeah, because you remember in Germany, when I met him outside
That's what I'm saying it for,
the elevator, he was like a bit touchy.
Yeah.
Some of the media don't want us to be successful, Troy. I mean, that seems to permeate through to the players, like the media don't want us to win here.
Oh, OK. Well, then, if you win it, watch what the media do then. And they tell you how great you are, and the statue's going up, and this is the greatest team of all time.
Yeah.
I think, listen, whatever your motivation is in life is great. For me, I chose everyone to be an enemy because that was just what fired me up.
Yeah.
You don't want me to win. You don't want me to be here. The other guys in my team, you're trying to take my job. You're trying to take kids food off the kids' plate. Whatever it is I needed for that day, that was the reason.
See, I love that from Troy. What motivated you? You're talking about another couple of goalkeepers being on your shoulder.
Punctuality.
Punctuality.
Paying fines.
I was, I was self-motivated. There was no issue, and it's funny when Troy says this. So, like, what I would try to do, knowing, like, if I played against Troy, and knowing he was fired up, like Duncan Ferguson and stuff. One of the first things I would have done is, like, the first play, I would have, like, patted you on the back, well done, like, to try to get him to be like, hold on, wait a sec, I can't be mad at this fella, because then you get him off. It's like playing against Drogba. Like, you used to tell the defenders sort of not stay off him, you can't, but just sort of like don't hit him too hard or whatever, and then he'll kind of hopefully drift out of the game a little bit. Yeah. Because if you smacked him early doors, he was a good player, and when you fired him up. So as Simon was saying, if Jude has a chip on his shoulder because of the media, and he uses that, and the whole reason he's playing in the World Cup is to be able to lift the cup, walk by the media, and point his finger at him, brilliant, as long as he gives everything on the pitch.
Flip side to that.
Go on, Troy.
The flip side to that is, if you're using that and you're, in a way, making the media the enemy, if you don't, then you can't sulk because they've gone, OK, you came and had a pop at us, they're going to have a pop back at you.
Sure. We have a goalkeeper in our midst, of course, Mr. Friedel, 82 caps for the United States of America. And it all got underway for England last night with a penalty kick taken by Kane, but he scored it at the second attempt. Can penalty kicks be any more stacked against the goalkeeper these days? People like Troy Deeney and Simon Jordan, of course, very pleased about England getting off to a winning start. They beat Croatia by 4-2. So is Big Brad here, who takes England to go all the way and win it. Whether or not that happens remains to be seen, but nonetheless, they have got off to a winning start. So what did our commentary team last night in TalkSport make of it now that the dust has settled today? Co-commentator last night alongside Jim Proudfoot, England legend Stuart Pearce, who is joining us from Dallas this morning. Stuart, hi to you, my friend. What were your thoughts on England's opening performance?
I think in the main, really positive. You know, substitutions worked really well. I thought he made some good calls at the time during the second half, taking Jude Bellingham off. I weren't sure about that one, or taking Declan off, but I must say it probably was a masterstroke at the time. The first half was a strange one, really. We come in at 2-2 and you thought there's a game here we should be bossing and dominating, and we still come in level at half-time. But in the main, some really good goals. We've demonstrated we've got some great goal scorers and goals in the team. And just the only question mark for me slightly was defensively. You know, I think we got caught out on occasion, passing for passing's sake, and got the ball turned over off us. And it cost us. To be fair, you can't underestimate Croatia. They're a good side and show the clinical side of their finishing. But in the main, really positive.
Stuart, I know you're close to Gareth Southgate. He's your mate. I get that. But are the days of the cautious Southgate approach well and truly over?
I think time will tell on that, Jim. I think yesterday was definitely a case of that. And I think from what some of the players alluded to at half-time, the manager sort of said to them, you know, look, get out there and take the shackles off and let's get after the opposition, no matter where it takes us. And I think I saw that in their demeanour in the second half. That they were much more on the front foot, much more aggressive with their movements. And to be fair, I thought Jude Bellingham led that, and credit to him for it.
Stu, you spoke about the defending, and I was very much just in the same boat. How do we shore that up while being so aggressive in the front areas? How do we make sure that we don't give away those types of chances when we come up against the better teams, in your opinion?
Well, what I would say, Dean, I think we had. It wasn't as if we. Troy, sorry.
It's all right, mate. Are you good?
Sorry, mate. It wasn't as if we sort of had so many players up the pitch. We were outnumbered defensively. We had numbers back. We just didn't defend particularly well, you know. I think John Stones for the first one's gone to the ground. I think when you're in that position, you've got to keep the forward going wide and stay on your feet. And I think he'll probably, the 90 minutes will do him good, I think, you know, because he's not had much game time. So unless he decides to bring Mark Gahey back into the fold, which I think he might well do for the next game. So I think we had numbers back. So it wasn't a case of, look, we've overexposed ourselves going forward. It's just we had to defend slightly better. And I think sometimes I looked at the back line, especially in the first half, and I saw sort of Anderson at times dropping into the back line, staying with his man. And then for the second goal, I think him and Jude sort of vacated that area, thinking the danger had gone. And all of a sudden, that player was the one heading the ball back in for the second goal. So I think we'll benefit by it defensively. And I think the manager, sometimes you know what it's like, everything goes smoothly and you've learnt nothing from the game. I think because things went well, the result went well for us, but there were one or two things that the coaching staff can look at and the manager look at and say, we can improve on this, this and this.
I mean, Stu, you sound quite sanguine about it. Do you not look at it and think that it bodes well? This gives us a good base. There's always going to be questions, and I think it's important to be level-headed. We're sitting in a bloody bar yesterday, but they start booming out, "It's coming home," which makes you put your head in your hands in an American bar. But do you look at it and think, well, this bodes well? This is a good start. This is a positive start. Questions to be asked and answered going forward against better opposition. But front foot football, taking the game away from the Croatians in the second half, is a good indicator of the way that England are going to play and a good scenario for us to build from.
100%. I don't think that I don't want to come across negative, but it's my sort of my sort of job, I suppose, to analyse everything from good, the bad and the ugly in many ways. But there were so many pluses, you know, on a scale of 1 to 100. You're talking 85%, I think. 80% was really, really positive on what I saw with my eyes. But you've also got to look at the other bits and pieces, because I've got a mentality of saying we're going to come up against bigger and better further down the line, and we need to address that 15% that might just be the difference in those games. But in the main, I tell you what excites me, Simon, the most, whenever you look through our squad of players, probably the first 16 players, there's a lot of players on that pitch that can get you a goal out of nothing. And I include the likes of O'Reilly in that, who had a gilt-edged header that he should have got on target, and another one that was well saved by the goalie. So add Eze to that, add Rashford to that, add all of these players who didn't start to that, and you think that is exciting.
Indeed. Yeah, Stuart, here's Brad.
Hey, Stu, so do you think really that he should be addressing the 15% or capitalizing on the 85% that was good? Because that would be a different approach by an England manager.
Yeah, you know what? This day and age, I think with a result like that, you don't want to put a downer on with your squad. For me, over these next couple of days, or whenever they look back at the game, for me, it's keep fueling that 85% probably, and keep the positives, keep enhancing the positives. And, you know, the last thing they want to do is sit down when they're buoyed up and excited. You know what it's like in that dressing room. Keep fueling that, and then, you know, probably address it as in 15% of your team meeting is going to be working with maybe your back line, maybe your holding defensive midfielders.
Sure, as we know, Harry Kane made it 10 World Cup goals, equalling Lineker's tournament goals record. Didi Hamann has been speaking about it, and when Hamann speaks for a variety of reasons, we kind of sit up and listen, don't we? On Kane, the jury's out. I want to see him do it against France and Brazil. Whether he's capable of doing it, we don't know yet. At some stage in the tournament, you need pace. He simply hasn't got it. What do you think, Troy? Everyone's raving about Kane, are they not?
It's nothing better than somebody who's slow talking about someone's pace. You know, Didi Hamann wasn't known for pace, was he? Was he known for pace?
We had Harry Kane when I was doing my coaching. He was coming through academy into the first team.
Yeah.
And the talk back then was brilliant. I actually brought to the fore how good his finishing ability was because I jumped in goal obviously with him. The one question mark back then was his pace. Always has been. But guess what? It's never mattered. Never. He's learned how to use his body. He's learned how to play a little bit differently. I understand if you're going to play sit-back, counter-attacking football, but England should have the ball. So,
but Didi's point, I mean, put aside the observation about pace, because the first yard will be in your mind, right?
Yeah.
But he isn't wrong to suggest that Harry needs to do it against big opposition, because I know he's banged in 62 goals this year and he's played against big opposition.
Right, Simon.
On the international stage, there has been questions in big games that Harry hasn't scored against big opposition, and he's going to need to in this tournament.
I think, but also as a striker, I'm only as good as the service I get, right, in those big games. So in those big games, have we delivered the best attacking options? I would say no.
But the point is a confected outrage coming off the back of what Didi said. And so whilst we can suggest that it's a slightly unfair observation to make it all about pace, because we know that some of the top players in the world didn't have pace or don't always have pace, the other side of the conversation that Didi's saying is not an unfair observation. And when Harry goes and bangs goals in against the French and Spain, he'll shut that conversation down.
What did you make of the Hamann declaration on Kane then, Stuart?
All he's doing really is pointing out the obvious. Harry's not got blistering pace, but the beauty of what we found out over the last year, the manager's put two players either side of him that are extremely quick. Now, if we had another speed merchant up front in Harry, it probably wouldn't work with the dynamic. Yes. With Harry, what we've got, an intelligent footballer that gets on the ball and makes the other two outside him tick, and Jude tick, and Morgan Rogers tick, which is absolutely exactly what England want. It's a team ethic, and I think he's absolutely ideal. Now we've got two players and worked out that you're better off not playing Foden or Palmer out wide. You need speed merchants who can take people on. It's the perfect front line for me.
Sure, thanks so much for joining us. Troy, one final footnote from you.
It was going to be really quick, just to Stu. In that regard there to Harry dropping down, I thought yesterday the two wingers played the game too wide when Harry dropped it, they didn't run inside the pitch. Was that an observation you saw being there, or was that just poor from me?
Well, no, Madueke definitely held his width. You know, you don't know what they've been coached and what they've been asked to do. Whether he's sort of asked them to hold their width so that Bellingham and Rice can exploit those areas when Harry does drop deep. So they certainly held their width, but you don't know whether the coach has told them to do that, Troy, or not.
Okay.
You know, but you know, from a winger's point of view, and it's a disaster for a fullback like myself. If you know they're stood out on the touchline, you know, it half does your job for you. You've just got to deal with those one-on-ones. If they start dipping inside as well, you've got two dynamics to deal with.
OK, Stuart, thank you so much. England did their job last night and they got the first day win that they wanted. You're listening to Jim White and Simon Jordan, Brad Friedel, Troy Deeney. We're live from New York on TalkSport in partnership with Toolstation. First up, Toolstation.